Welcome back to Renewal Podcast, everybody. I'm your podcast host, Jordan Skiles. This podcast is created to help motivate and inspire you guys, the listener, to renew your mind. We do this whole concept centered around growing and changing in Jesus. Today's episode, before we get into it, I want to let you guys know that I got some t-shirts made for this podcast. It's got a new logo on it. On the back, it says, if you change your mind, you change your life. But if this podcast gets 10 likes, the big 10, I will sell t-shirts online to those who want it. So if you want a t-shirt, like this video, and I'll do my best to get them out to you guys. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So today we're going to be talking about trusting God. And I think it's a normalized thing in our culture that people just, when you're going through something hard or, you just need to trust God more, people are just like, hey, just trust God more. Just trust God. Don't worry about it. Just trust God. And I think that's great and everything. It's absolutely amazing, and we should trust God. But the thing is like, how do we do that? How do we trust God? How do we give him all our trust? Because if we don't know how to do it, how are we supposed to make change? And we can say it all we want, but until we take action on it, there will be no progress and there will be no change if we don't know how to do it. And this can be for anybody in their walk of faith. This can be an unbeliever. This can be a new believer. This can be someone who's been following the Lord for a couple of years like myself. And this can be someone who's been following the Lord for 100 years. It can be anybody that, we don't really fully grasp and fully know how to trust the Lord. And the Greek word for trust is pistis. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not 100%, but you guys can get it. You guys can search it up if you want. But pistis means to be reliable, to have confidence in something. So being reliable, having confidence in something. And immediately when I hear that, I think of a bus driver. Let's say you get on a bus. You don't even know the bus driver, but you trust that bus driver is going to get you from point A to point B. You know that bus driver is reliable and will drive you safely. That the bus driver has a driver's license. That the bus driver knows what he or she is doing. But man, sometimes that actually challenges us with the fact that we trust the bus driver more than we trust God. That's a heart check right there. Pause that, reflect on that. Do you trust a bus driver more than you trust God? Because it's easy to trust the bus driver more. I'll be honest. The bus driver is physical. We can see the bus driver. The bus driver is an actual, living human thing right in front of us. But the thing is like oxygen. I think about oxygen. You can't see oxygen. Like I can't just see oxygen right here in my hand, but I know it's there because I'm breathing it in. Okay, and the same thing with God. Although we might not be able to see him, we can feel him and we need him. And how much more do we need Jesus more than we need oxygen in our lives? So immediately when I hear trust, the first piece of scripture that comes to mind is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So we're going to do 3 quick points here off of this scripture and really make it super practical and ways that we can really trust God. So the first one is trust in the Lord with 50% of your heart. No, it says trust in the Lord with all your heart. All your heart. It doesn't say 25, not 50, not 99.9%. It says all your heart. 110% of your heart. And what does it look like to trust the Lord with all your heart? You got to give him your heart. You got to give him your heart. We're going to talk about this here in a second, but surrendering your heart, you got to give it to him in the first place. One of my life verses is John 10:10, and John 10:10 says, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come to have life and give it to the full. Man, so if Jesus promises in his scripture and in his word that he gives life to the full, why would we not give him our heart? If he is full of goodness and he gives life to the full, why would we let the devil get any part of us? And number 2, lean not on your understanding. How many times in our life do we tend to try to alter or change God's plan for our life? How many times in our life do we want to be in the driver's seat on the bus instead of stepping back and letting God drive the bus and let his purpose for our life work in and through us. Man, that's good, listener. Do you hear that? That you gotta just let go and let God. Lean not on your understanding, but in all your ways submit to him. I mean, come on, listener. It's clear in scripture that, man, we can't try to do this by ourselves. Man, we gotta have God by our side. And number 3 is all your ways submit to him. We touched on this previously in a couple podcasts ago, but surrendering to Jesus, I think it's one of the most overlooked things in scripture is surrendering to Jesus, dying to your old self and putting on the new. Man, the positive side effects of saying, God, I can not do this life by my own. God, I need you in my life. Jesus, I give you everything. Like, Lord, I give you my trust. I want you to actually say that I give you my trust. And when I think about submitting to God and being fully surrendered, I think about the disciples. I don't know why. It's just, they literally died for Jesus. They died for scripture. They died for the gospel. They died so you and I could experience it because they were in such love with Jesus that they didn't care about death. They didn't fear death. And so, listener, I wonder if you could have the same surrenderance as the disciples. It doesn't matter what steps in your way, man. You are at the foot of Jesus. And trust in Hebrew, we talked about what trust in Greek was earlier, but trust in Hebrew, and I hope I'm saying this right, is babach. You can look that up for yourself. Probably not saying it right, but you guys get it. And this word implies lying helplessly face down like a servant before the king. Like a servant before the king, laying face down. I think of in church when people will go to the stage and just lay down and they're fully surrendered. Man, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to trust God. That, man, you block out every other distraction, and man, you just sit at the feet of Jesus. And one of my favorite things at the end of this Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is it promises that if we do this, we get a good result. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, and all your ways submit to him, and he will lead your paths straight. So, listener, if you do these things, man, God will lead your path straight. Our ways, they're pretty crooked. You know, they got some wiggly lines, some zigzag lines, but God's ways, his purpose is straight. Listener, I appreciate you listening to this podcast. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget about the t-shirt thing. Like it if you want a t-shirt. I love you guys. Thank you. Remember, if you change your mind, you change your life. Peace.